BC, Jeff here. It is time for a contest. But I wanted to go ahead and jump on board this contest for Stevie's vinyl. He was going to do a contest celebrating getting ready to push to 100, but then he passed 100 before he did it, I guess, and he's just over 100, and he's doing a contest. And this is a very simple one because we almost kind of get to make it up ourselves. Now, you have to be subscribed, first rule. Second rule, do it yourself. Talk about something, show something. Third rule, we have to give a shout out or a suggestion of somebody else's channel who has less than 100 subscribers. So let's get to this. I'm going to pull this out only because, well, I'll tell you what. I got this in. I showed this a couple of videos ago. Barren Cross are they were one of the early Christian metal bands along lines of Stryper back in the day. They were on the same label eventually as Stryper, the mainstream non-Christian label. They got some attention. This is their latest album, just got released on vinyl for the first time. But when I say their latest album, this is 1994. They kind of split after that, did different things. Later, in the past 10 years or so, they got back together and did a reunion concert, which was filmed and released as a live album. But this is the last studio album. Not sure if we're going to hear anything else from them. But when this came out, it had been a couple years since the previous one. This one has a different feel than their previous ones. And at first, I think, when I first got it, and it was kind of odd. But then it grew to be probably my favorite album by them. So when this came out, it got reissued on CD, remastered, and reissued on remastered vinyl for the first time. So I've been listening to this recently, and some of the things that really stood out to me as some of the points I loved is what I wanted to talk about. And we're really going to examine the lyrics, because I know when I say these guys are a Christian metal band that immediately syrupy, sweet, preachy songs, maybe by Stryper or other bands, Jesus, King of Kings, are going to come to mind. The people are they're not going to listen anymore, because when you say Christian metal, some people they're like, I don't want to be preached to. Not knowing that a lot of Christian metal bands are nothing more than guys who go to church who put out great music, and the lyrics are not going to cross over into the lines of territory that is too risque or too, they're going to be maybe a story behind it, a moral to the story, whatever. They're not going to be, a lot of bands are not preachy. Now, Barren Cross's first album, I will say, very evangelical, very preachy, very, very, very Christian centered. Their second album, though, if you want to get Atomic Arena, they started dealing with social issues. Now, yeah, they deal with things like abortion and stuff. They deal with cults. They deal with stuff. Very less preachy overall. You could still listen to them and say, I get the impression these guys might be a Christian band, but you're not going to get the impression from every song that you like that. Third album, State of Control, another great album that is probably even a little bit less preachy. There's always a song on there that's going to be more, geared towards that angle, but for the most part, they just talk about life on the stage, life on the road, relationships, things like that. This album is no different. This album deals with more social issues along that line. And so kind of wanted to share that with you to show you that these are the types of lyrics you may run across. Now, you may not agree with the political stance that some of the bands take. They're not political, but it's, think about like Dave Mustaine from Megadeth. He's very political, right? Do you agree with him or not? I don't know, but you still love the music, right? So there are some things in here that maybe you're not in agreement with, but it's a position. So, I am going to put on some reading glasses because these are small lyrics and the lighting is not great in here. But this is a song called The Unsuspecting. Now, one of my favorite songs. It has been redone by the singer on his solo album. He did it with another band that he did. He tweaks it here and there, but the lyrics are pretty much the same story. But this is where you get the metal version. This is where you get the one really great album, the great version. And it's basically a story about a guy and dealing with crime and stuff. So, a man walks into a corner grocery on 5th Street, points a gun at the unsuspecting. So, a guy's not expecting, he comes in to rob him. He says, "Give me your money and give it now, and if you move, I'll pump you full of lead to the ground." With trembling hands, he's handed a bag of small bills that don't add up to his mainline price tag. In a fit of rage, he puts the barrel on the man's mouth, pulls the trigger, and is off with a bloodthirsty shout. Then it kicks into the chorus, the unsuspecting, the unsuspecting. Because you're not expecting to come get shot one day. Next day he rises from a sleep full of hunger. No money for food because he spent it on dope. So he goes in search for another unsuspecting. He eyes a bank but invades without logic. He saw who pushed the button and he gunned him down. But he got caught this time and now he's downtown. So the court gives mercy to a still merciless man out on parole years later. The victims forgotten. The unsuspecting, the unsuspecting. Now he's out, but it hasn't changed him a bit. He's still a killer inside, and he'll steal in a minute. That day a corner preacher said, God can heal you, man. Get on your knees and ask forgiveness, and he'll set you free. So there, you got a little bit of a Christian message. But it's just a guy down the street being preached to. But he knows his way into a store where the money looks good. But this time he's met with a suspecting man who raises a gun, but still not quick on the draw, and is gunned down quickly, his face filled with awe. The unsuspecting, the unsuspecting. And then it ends by the moral of the story. The problem is not all that this man is sick, for he doesn't fear capital punishment. He knows that the system seems more on his side to protect the guilty, so the innocent must die. So again, it's a railing at the system, and like I say, they deal with a lot of issues like that. They have a song on here which, you know, you may not totally understand it, but it talks about you know, how it you know, kind of deals with the church and how, you know, it's not going to be blatantly in your face Christian things, but he talks about how people go to church and complain about how bad the world is, but then go home and don't do anything about it. That they're not, that's the whole title, Rattle Your Cage. What's it going to take to wake you up? You know, if you want to see change in your community, if you want to see change in your people, in the world, you got to do something. Sadly, in this day and age, because of certain teachings that have crept into the church in the 1800s, the church has become very impotent when it comes to a lot of things that they should be doing, and so things have gotten bad in certain areas, and he's pointing to point out that, you know, if you want to do something, what's it going to take to wake you up to make change instead of, you know, complaining and hiding. I do want to give a shout out then for the third point, for Alexander Aguiar. He actually started his channel just over 2 months ago. His first video was a video entry to my contest, and he has done like about 11 or so videos since then. He's up to 73 subscribers, and he shows a lot of metal. He shows a lot of heavier metal stuff. He does contest entries. So yeah, go check him out. I'm going to have a link below. He's on the live streams with us at times. Anyway, great stuff, great guy. If you're into that kind of stuff, check him out. That's all for now. Thanks, Stevie, for the contest. Here's my entry. I will talk to you all later. Rock on and rock hard.